Got there. Hi guys, this is my second Periscope, so apologies if there are a few technical problems or issues, and hopefully we'll work them out together. So thank you very much for joining me. And if this is your first time that you've joined me on a Periscope, let me just take this off, I don't know where I'm wearing it. If this is the first time you've joined me on the Periscope, please do write in the comment, just say new and exclamation mark, or tap the screen to give me a couple of hearts, and then at least I know you're watching, and that will be great. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is body language. When I'm coaching a lot of my clients, they tend to quite often come up to the point where they need some sort of training a little bit on their body language, because the way that they're presenting themselves, particularly when I'm working with them face-to-face or in group sessions, that their body language just isn't really doing them any favours. They're sort of sat there, hunched up, arms folded, head down, and it's not really helping them project anything sort of that's positive about them. And really, it's kind of subduing their voice, and you can't really hear what they're saying because all this body language is really kind of getting in the way of what they're trying to tell to people. So what I quite often do is I basically reflect what my clients are doing. So I'll sit there like them, and I'll fold my hands and I put my head down and show them what they actually look like, because actually reflecting what somebody looks like and their body language can really kind of make them realize what's going on and really make a connection with that person. So if you're alone at the moment and you've got a mirror in front of you, just have a quick look in the mirror right now and see what kind of body language have you got right now. Is it relaxed? Is it all alert and paying attention? What do you look like right now? Just have a think about that and have a look at how maybe you could improve your body language. So if you do improve your body language, what a lot of people find that happens is that they, for number one, they actually start to appear more confident. And that's obviously something that quite a lot of people want to do, is actually appear more confident. And when you appear more confident, kind of a little bit of a psychology trick here, what happens is that you actually start to feel a little bit more confident just by making your body language sort of trick you into feeling a bit more confident. And when you are thinking about your body language and presenting yourself in a really positive way, what you'll also notice is that people start to really listen to you and listen to actually what you're saying and how you're saying it, and start to pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth, and they seem to be more considered over what you're saying. So if you really want to connect with people at a deeper level, improving your body language is another great way of doing that. So if you're thinking about this at the moment, what are some of the things that maybe you've heard about body language? What are the things, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, what should you do with regards to your body language? What shouldn't you do? If you type it into the box there and let me know what are some of the things that you've heard. As I've said at the beginning of this Periscope, one of the main things that a lot of people do is they sort of drop their head. Gives you a nice little view of my shiny head there. But obviously what that's going to do is it's going to make you look a lot more sort of timid and worried and insecure and not really confident about what you're about to say if you have your head down. So quite often the number one thing that people say about body language is to just sort of lift your head up. And lifting your head up is obviously going to make a bit of a difference to your posture as well. So lift your head up, shoulders nice and relaxed. Another thing that I like to do with my clients is get them to lift their shoulders as high as they possibly can, and then just relax them down. And what you'll notice is actually your shoulders have probably gone down a little bit further than where they were before, because quite often people are holding a little bit of tension in their shoulders, a little bit of stress, especially when they're actually talking to somebody else or when they're doing a presentation or something like that. So sometimes a little bit of a squeeze and then a relax, and then that'll actually help your body posture and your body language from sort of the neck up. Now, another thing that you also need to do, and I'm trying to do this to give it as a demonstration, is actually use your hands, but not too much, but just enough to give you the impression, or give the person you're talking to an impression that you're relaxed and you're open. If you can show your hands, then it means that there's nothing there, you're not hiding anything. That will help people make another connection with you as well. So open your hands, try not to clasp them too much, because that almost starts to make you look like you're praying, for example, and you're a bit worried. But also what happens, and you can maybe just about see this, your knuckles will start to go white if you start to close your hands and clasp your hands too tightly, which you will do if you're feeling stressed and feeling anxious about something, or what you're talking to about with somebody else. So try not to clasp your hands too much. Do sort of move them around a bit. You can put them together, but try and relax and move them around a little bit. As I mentioned earlier on in the Periscope, unfold your arms. Now, some people say, "Oh, yeah, but I'm comfortable doing that." Well, there's a folding your arms, and there's folding your arms. So if you're folding your arms and your shoulders and everything else is actually all sort of tense and tight, then that's going to look very, very different to a relaxed folding of the arms, where actually it's just something that's comfortable to you. However, even when I do that, I am setting up a sort of a psychological barrier for a lot of people, and they're going to think, well, it's almost like I'm hugging myself. I'm trying to reassure myself that I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit worried. I kind of need a hug. So if you can relax your arms and take them out, that's going to really help your body language as well. So has anybody else got some suggestions of what they should do with their body language? What's a good thing to do? What's the thing that they shouldn't do? Just put it in the little comments there, and I'll see if it ties in with some of the things that I've been taught as well. Another thing that you can also do, which is usually a little bit easier if you're actually sat down, is just lean forward ever so slightly. It's particularly useful when you're having a meeting, or if you're having an interview. Just ever so slightly lean forward. It means you can also rest your hands on the table, just sort of gently resting in each other. It kind of infers, what did hands in pockets say? Yeah, hand in pockets, it will probably mean that you're pretty relaxed actually with the person that you're talking to. So it's probably something that's a little bit more social. The trouble with putting your hands in your pocket is there's usually things in your pockets that you can play with, like keys or money or a wallet, and that can actually create a sound which can be very distracting. So if you can take them out of your pockets, it would be better for you, particularly if you're sort of doing a presentation or something like that. Eye contact. Eye contact is a great one. Now, a lot of people think that they need to have really strong eye contact all the time, whereas actually that's not 100% true. Eye contact is great, looking at somebody, especially when the other person is talking to you. So if you're talking to me, I will look into your eyes a little bit more than you will look into my eyes. So basically that's me telling you I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and I'm paying attention to you. Whereas if you're talking to me and I'm looking away and looking around and reading my notes or making notes, you're going to get the impression that I'm actually not paying attention to you. So if you're listening, actually look at the person a little bit more than maybe the person talking is. If you're the person talking, then actually looking away is a sign that you're actually thinking about what you're talking about. You're actually considering what you're saying. And when you're talking to somebody else, it usually, see I'm doing it now, it's usually a sign that you're trying to build an image of what you're about to say, and therefore what you're about to say is probably going to be more considered and more important for that person to listen to. So talk to them to their face, but don't worry about looking away if you're going to be thinking about things or even looking at your notes and that sort of thing. So it's slightly different. I would say if you're listening to somebody, eye contact about 70% of the time. If you're talking, probably about 50% or even less, because you're going to be looking around for inspiration and ideas, but because you're talking, you've got the connection there, so you don't need to worry so much about it. Anything else? Anybody else got any questions or suggestions about what is good body language? Then just post in the comments there, that'd be great. I was actually, on my notes, actually a healthy amount of eye contact was the next thing I was going to bring up. So I think that's probably the best way to look at it is, what is a healthy amount of eye contact that you want to give somebody when you're talking to them? Now, one of the things that I did read recently, there's a fantastic book, and if you just go onto Amazon and just search for FBI and body language or speed reading, there's a brilliant book from an ex-FBI agent who was a real specialist in body language, and what he can basically do is almost instantly tell whether somebody is lying, whether they're making something up, or whether they're actually being incredibly honest, but they just can't tell you what they need to tell you because they feel insecure. So they're not necessarily lying, but they can't be completely open with you because you haven't built up that kind of trust yet. So have a look at Amazon. I do actually have some thoughts on how women perceive body language. The interesting thing about my experience with working with women is that women actually tend to use the auditory a lot more than actually the visual, the body language. So in my personal experience, and this could be wildly different, and I'm probably wildly generalizing this, but in my experience, it's more about what you say and how you say it when you're dealing with a woman, whereas with a man, actually body language is even more important. Men are much more visual, much more, dare I say, kinesthetic. They're kind of, they want to get a feel of what that person is like. And this is actually borne out by the fact that when I do coaching, I do a lot of coaching over Skype and over the phone, as well as face-to-face and in groups and on one-to-one. There are a number of clients that I have that are women that only talk to me on the phone without Skype video or anything like that. They just listen to me and we just talk to each other. Whereas I would say nearly 100% of the men that I coach either coach face-to-face in person, or they will only talk to me on Skype with video, because men are much more visual, men are much more, I want to see what I'm dealing with here. So that's my personal experience. It may be different for other people, and it will depend on, obviously, the woman that you're talking to and what you're talking to them about. So do check out the book, The FBI Agent's Guide to Speed Reading People. It's absolutely brilliant. And one of the things I did really learn from that book was there's actually a real kind of a hack that you can use to quickly and easily fix a lot of the body language issues just by making one simple change. And if you remember anything from this Periscope broadcast, remember, think feet. So if you think about what your feet are doing, hello. So I can't read your name because it's grey text. So well, I'll just say hello. Think about your feet. So right now, I want you to think about what are your feet doing? Are they crossed? Are they flat on the floor? Are you on your toes? If you're standing, are you standing on one foot? Are you swaying? What are you doing with your feet? Now the reason for this is, if you can sort out your feet, if you can focus what you want your feet to do. So for example, I'm sat down at the moment, so let's imagine I'm talking to you across a table in a meeting room, and my feet at the moment, right now, are now crossed. It completely changes my body language. Suddenly I'm pointing away from you. Suddenly I'm not making that direct connection that I was before. Say for example, maybe I've got something to do and I'm feeling a bit sort of anxious and I want to get away. What will quite often happen is both feet will then be pointing away from the person and quite possibly towards the door. So at the moment what's happening there is I've kind of got the body language that I want to get up and go. I'm trying to listen to what you're saying, but I need to make a move. Sorry, yeah, really busy, got to go, bye. So what I'd like you to do right now, you can do this whether you're standing, sitting, whatever kind of place that you are. obviously if you're driving, you probably shouldn't be watching this, but anyway, have your feet flat on the floor, okay? And point them directly at the person that you want to speak to. So, say for example, you're the person in front of me, I was listening to what you're saying, and now I want to actually tell you something. I want to say something that I think you need to hear is quite important. So I'm just going to place my feet flat towards the floor and point them towards you. Instantly, you can see what's happened. My posture, everything is suddenly connected directly with you. So think about your feet. What are your feet doing? If you want to connect with somebody, if you want to tell somebody something that's really important, if you want to be listened to, put your feet flat on the floor and point them directly at the person that you want to speak to. So say, for example, if I've just finished a conversation with you and I now need to speak to Joe over here. So I'm spoken to you, I've finished with you, now I'm going to turn to Joe and place my feet in that direction. And immediately the connection is made with Joe because I've got that connection through from my feet, pointing them towards him, and then everything kind of falls into place together. Now there is a little bit extra that you can, thank you for the hearts, I really do appreciate them. There is a little bit extra that you can add on to that, but if you remember anything at all, just think feet, point them towards the other person. If you want to really boost that even more, ever so slightly lean forward and say the person's name. So Joe, what is it you wanted to talk about? Bang! Suddenly, you've got their attention, you're really connecting with that person. Now, I did this with a few clients of mine, and one of them came back to me the following week and said, he did what I said, he put his feet on the floor, he looked at the person, he said their name, and I thought, oh my God, what is he going to tell me next? What has happened? Has it all gone horribly wrong and it's all kicked off? And he said as soon as he said that person's name, he was in a meeting at the time in the office, and as soon as he said that person's name, the entire room stopped talking and turned and listened. And he said, to be honest, it scared the crap out of me when that happened. But it suddenly made a connection with that person. I was able to communicate with them and tell them exactly what I wanted them to do. And not only did I get my point across, but it felt very, very powerful. It felt really important. It felt the right thing to do. And that person took it on board, and it all went swimmingly well. So that's really pretty much it. So unless you have any questions, do post them into the box now. If you've enjoyed this, tap the screen a couple of times to give me a few hearts, and let me know that you found this useful. Might somebody know? Yeah, absolutely. If you are talking to somebody that knows about body language, yeah, they might think, oh, he's using that trick to connect towards me. Thank you very much for the hearts. I do appreciate them. He is trying to use that trick to connect to me, but the chances are that they'll actually be much more interested in actually what you're about to say and how you're saying it and whether there is something that they need to be listening to here. And because it's such a simple thing, just pointing your feet in the right direction, it's so subtle, it's really, really difficult to actually tell. And that's a good thing about body language, is there's a lot of it, so it's very difficult to sort of point out individual things. The only time that I've ever really had somebody no, well, maybe not a trick, but it's. I think the reason why I call it a trick is because it's so simple. It's so simple just to think about your feet, point them in the right direction, and you'll actually fix a lot of the rest of your body language. So hopefully that's made sense. Good. I'm glad you found that useful. I'm going to post a little blog post of this on my website, which is impact.co.uk. It won't be there at the moment, so if you do want to hear more from me, do pop over to the website, or just click the little man button in the bottom corner and do follow me. And I'm going to try and do more of these on a daily basis, and I hope that you've really enjoyed them. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. All the hearts, I really do appreciate them. And the comments, thank you very much indeed for participating. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope to see you next time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.